This is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and our special guest today is Taylor Ransom.
Hi, thanks for having me, Dr. Simon.
Well, we just came back a few seconds ago from Christians at the Capitol Day.
That's right.
We saw some things there that we'd like to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. Where do you want to start, Dr. Simon? Because there was so much to cover.
Well, maybe I can start with this recording.
Oh, that sounds good. Recordings of the interviews.
Hi, I'm Taylor Ransom, and we are here today at Christians at the Capitol. I'm here with my good friend. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Joshua Watts.
Joshua Watts. Joshua, why are you here today?
Christians at the Capitol Day was a fantastic opportunity to show up here and be involved in the things that are happening and affecting the world on our state level, and I have to be a part of that.
Oh, exactly. I think it's so important that we put God back in our schools. You know, there's a great initiative going on right now to putting God we trust back in our schools. What do you think about that, Joshua?
Oh, I definitely believe that any inclusion of God in any institution, educational, political, any sort of situation like that, more God has put us in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. I think it's really great when I see this initiative and Christians are coming out, they're being a part of this, they're showing support. It's very easy to stay at home, maybe talk on Facebook about doing things, but it's another thing when you come out and you be a part of something bigger, something that we're actually going to be a part of this, and we're actually going to put God back in our schools.
Absolutely. Action makes the difference.
It does.
That was an interview with a young fellow that you interviewed there at the Capitol, and he seems to have his head on straight.
He sure does. Sharp guy.
There were a lot of people there. What did you think was one of the most important parts of the program today?
Well, before we touch on the things that happened in the program, definitely the highlight of this whole thing for me was just seeing how many people genuinely care about coming together and in support of these Christian initiatives and supporting Christian values in our communities and in our public schools and in all areas of our life. There were so many people that showed up and were a part of this. I was just genuinely delighted
that so many people showed up. Of course, we saw quite a few different people. It seems like the most people were to hear the governor speak.
Everyone showed up to see Governor Matt Bevin, and it was so great to see there were so many different people from so many different walks of life. There were people of different faiths there, people of different ages there. Most amount of people showed up to hear Matt Bevin speak, and I especially love the things that he said about pro-life. You usually hear that from a governor, so that was great.
That's right. And he talked about Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger and how they're trying to basically wipe out the black community.
Oh, it's terrible.
How they have all of their abortion clinics down in the inner city with the idea of trying to a lot of abortions on black people.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous because when you have people that can look at someone else, another person, and essentially they're valuing one race of people or one group of people over another to the fact that they're willing to commit infanticide, willing to kill babies.
He went into all of that. The room was pretty much packed. Wouldn't you say? Standing room only.
We were standing in the back.
It was really impressive. The other thing he said was he talked about the retirement funds for the state workers. Now, I remember one thing he said, if he legalized marijuana, it would take 600 years to pay off the debt that we have today. Or if he put legalized gambling, it would take many, many years to pay off what we owe already, let alone that it's an ongoing proposition. The other thing that I was impressed is the two pastors that were state representatives.
Right, Representative David Hale and Representative Chris Fugate.
They gave a good presentation.
They really did. They talked about Christians running for public office, how so many more Christians, even people that may not necessarily feel qualified. But the truth is, God doesn't look for qualified people to call. He calls people and he qualifies them.
He qualifies them. That's good.
Right. So people, maybe they don't run for public office, and I love how David Hale pressed on this too, is that there's many different ways to be involved in politics and many different ways to support the Bible and biblical family values in our local communities and our local government. He really talked about some good stuff with it.
The other thing I thought was outstanding was Lee Watts himself, the organizer of the meeting, talked about marijuana.
That's right. He did. He had a lot of interesting statistics about what people call medical marijuana, quote unquote.
What did he say? The guy that put some kind of drug on the market, a habit-forming drug, is also trying to get marijuana on the market.
He is. He's trying to get marijuana on the market. He wants it to be full recreational.
It's not like we don't have enough people overdosing on drugs already. Louisville has one of the highest number of drug overdoses in the nation. Some people want to put more and more drugs available to students and young people. He did a very good job. See if I've got his brochure.
A lot of interesting statistics in there. What I liked about his stats is on the back, he didn't just pull these off of some one-sided survey on the internet or something like that.
He has the Center for Disease Control, the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association, Kentucky State Police, American Psychiatric Association, American Lung Association. He said all of the bad things about cigarettes are in marijuana too. Here we are, we spend a lot of money trying to keep young people from getting into smoking. Now they want to say, oh, well, let's put marijuana available to everybody. It would do the same thing as tobacco, only maybe even worse. He gave a good presentation, I think. If somebody wants a copy of this brochure, we have got quite a few of them. And if you call our call-in number, 895-5025, we could send you one. 895-5025, we could send you one of these brochures on medical marijuana and how it's really a very bad thing, and gave a lot of reasons why it was a bad thing. I was at a medical meeting a few months back, and there was a police officer who gave the presentation at this medical meeting, and he said that this person did an overdose and died, and he said he didn't start off with heroin. He started off with marijuana, and then he went up into hydrocodone and stronger and stronger drugs until he finally got on heroin and overdosed and died. The idea that marijuana is a gateway drug so that people get started on it. Then the next thing you know, they're on heroin and overdosing and fentanyl and all of these other really bad drugs.
There's one thing he said. He said someone came and told him that marijuana isn't addictive. I promise it's not addictive. I've been smoking it for 20 years.
This was a good program. Matt Bevan, I think, drew the largest crowd, and he's brought out a lot about how terrible abortion is. There's some good bills in Frankfurt this year that are dealing with abortion, the heartbeat bill and others, so that people can call their state representative and tell them to vote pro-life. I copied down that number. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is, 1-800-372-7181. They can call that number right now and leave a message for their state representative. They don't even need to know who their state representative is. Just give them your address, and they will look up your state representative.
They do it all for you.
A lot of abortion bills on. They're trying to legalize marijuana. There are a lot of important things going on. And you can just call that number. You might jot it down right now because it's important.
It is.
Everyone to know that number, because Kentucky is one of the few states where you can call in and leave a message for your state representative. A lot of states, you can't do that. But Kentucky is outstanding in that you can. And I'll give you that number again, 1-800-372-7181. You can call that number and tell them that you want to leave a message for your state representative and your state senator to vote pro-life and to vote for keeping marijuana illegal.
Just call in. You can be courteous, but you can still be firm at the same time. Don't be afraid to do that. Really, we can make a lot more of an impact than you think.
Absolutely.
If a lot of people called in on that number, just even think today, if you're sitting in your office, you're a state legislator, and you have 500 people call in today, I don't support that.
Absolutely.
You vote this way.
The other very important bill is to put In God We Trust into every classroom in the state of Kentucky. Now, Arkansas has already passed this bill, and so we know we can pass it. It has passed legislative review so that they weren't able to say it was illegal or anything like that because it's a national motto. In God We Trust. So you could call that number right now and leave a message for your state representative that you believe that in God We Trust, the national motto, should be in every classroom in Kentucky, just like it is in Arkansas. So that number again is 1-800-372-7181. We've got a petition. If you want to get everyone in your church signed up to be on that petition to put in God We Trust in every schoolroom. When they took prayer out of the public school, America had the best schools in the world. But after they took the Ten Commandments and the Bible and creation science and prayer out of the public schools, now we're one of the worst in the Western civilization as far as academic achievement. So that's kind of amazing, and we need to put God back in our public schools. We will send you a petition free. Everything is free. And here's another thing we'd like to offer you. This is the Jesus movie, and it's free also. And you can call that same number, 895-5025, and we'll send you this video free. In fact, we'll send you enough for everyone in your neighborhood and church and everything. But that's the idea. We'd like everyone in Jefferson County to get a copy of this video.
Everyone in Jefferson County. Everyone call in and get one.
And the number again is 895-5025. 895-5025. And let me give that number once more since we were at the Capitol today. The number to call to leave a message for your state representative. We want you to vote pro-life. We want you to vote for the national motto, in God We Trust, in every classroom in Kentucky. The number is 1-800-372-7181.
There you go. Call that number. Leave a message. Be cautious, or not cautious, be courteous. And be firm. Don't be cautious at all. Go out of your way to do this. And if you can, get a family member, get a friend to call. Get someone else to call. If everyone listening to this right now got one person besides themselves to call, it would make a real impact.
It would make a huge impact. The state legislature is on short session this time. So it'll be over in a month or so or less. So now's the time to call. Maybe you've never called into the state legislature, never left a message for your state representative or state senator. This is the time. Right this minute, call them, leave a message for them that you're pro-life, you want them to vote pro-life, you want them to co-sponsor the bill to put in God We Trust back in our public schools. And the number to call is 1-800-372-7181. I wrote that down because I want to remember it. Taylor, what do you do during the day?
During the day, I work. I manage social media for some ministries.
Really?
I also work in TV production over at Evangel World Prayer Center, Milltown Road. So that's what I do in the day. On top of that, I also love reading the Word, and that's something that's really great when you're over at Evangel World Prayer Center. You get to be under Pastor Bob all the time, Dr. Bob Rogers. You learn a lot.
He's around quite a bit, isn't he?
He is.
Let me just mention this once more. This is the Jesus video. It's the birth, the miracles, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and then there's an invitation on there. So there are a lot of people that will come to the Lord, and this could be key in starting a revival in our country. People say, oh, this is terrible and that's terrible. Well, here's the answer to a lot of these terrible things that are happening is get this in the hands of people that need to know Jesus, and it'll make a big difference.
It'll make a huge difference.
So we had a good time at the Capitol. It's going to be every year about this time. So anybody that wants to know, you could call that same number, 895-5025, and we'll have the date. We'll figure out the date for next year.
Christian at the Capitol. It'll be here before you know it.
It's a tremendous program. We had a couple of legislators that were pastors. They did a terrific job.
Full-time pastors, state representatives.
That's right. And he said, first time the people came around and tried to get him to vote for something, he explained to him that he was a Christian, that he didn't believe in promoting alcohol, he didn't believe in promoting gambling. didn't believe in promoting marijuana for everybody.
Right.
So after a while, they stopped coming around.
He said eventually they got the message. They just stopped asking.
Praise the Lord. So that's a good thing. And Lee Watts is, of course, the main person that put that on. He's like a missionary to the state legislators. A chaplain. We need that too.
Essential. It's absolutely essential. You have to have people in your state government representing the Word of God, representing Jesus, being ambassadors of God. Brother Lee Watts is doing a great job of that where he is.
Now, do we have any other people from the...
I'm here with Jamie Gray, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
here with Christians at the Capitol. Why are you here?
I was meeting some representatives. I want to take a tour of the Capitol, and I want to talk to a few people about different things. And I also believe in Christianity and having more Christians in the Senates and the representatives.
Absolutely. That's so important. Thank you for coming out today. Okay, cut right there. Okay, we're good?
No, whatever you would have been okay. But thank you very much.
Perfect. I guess he really just wants to
Okay.
sound it.
Because these guys in coat and ties, that's good. But you represent a whole lot of folks, working people. That's an important part of America.
Yes, it is.
And so when you are talking, you're representing more than the guy with the coat and tie on. You're representing a huge number of working people. And that means everything.
Glad to be a part.
We love you. We
Glad
love
you do.
you.
I'm here today with David Doherty here at Christians at the Capitol. David, why don't you tell us why you're here with Christians at the Capitol?
Well, I'm here because I'm concerned about the future. I've got 4 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. I'm very concerned about they're going to be facing in the future. There's issues with the legislature now that have an impact on. That's the reason I'm here.
There were thousands of people there. We tried to interview, but they all seem to have about the same story. They're concerned about the children, the future of our state. It doesn't matter who they are. They all want Kentucky to be a better state and to put God back in our country and our state, to make it one nation under God. And all of these drug overdoses and all of the gambling and all of the problems that we have, it's in large part because we need to turn back to God.
So many people that were there understand that, and they're all there to support that.
The governor was very supportive of it too.
He was.
And he gave a testimony how he was pro-life and how you're going to have to work together. There's just not enough money in the state to make these retirement funds viable again. That they're going to have to change the ones that are coming down the road. And it's just a lot of problems that only God can solve.
Governor, when he was in there, he touched on a lot. He did talk for a little bit of how really his faith was really tested when his firstborn son passed away. He talked about that, but yet someone goes through that. We are honored to have a governor, one that the way he talked today, you don't hear governors speak the same way the Bible.
Not.
You don't hear that. Stand up for God and not just use vague Christian terms, but he's actually pro-life. He's actually a Christian, and he's actually standing up for a lot of what we believe in.
It was tremendous. And of course, that was the biggest. You couldn't even get in the room.
No,
because there are so many people there. It's reassuring to see that there are a lot of people that believe in God, want to see America a righteous state, and put In God We Trust in our schools.
right.
There's people that are paying billions of dollars to get rid of God, get rid of Christianity, stamp on Christians. We need to work together in order to provide a Christian atmosphere, or people are going to take that all away from us. They're spending, like George Soros, he's spending billions of dollars, not hundreds or thousands or millions, but billions of dollars to try to stamp out Christianity. So let me give you that number once again. If you could, call this number right now and leave a message for your state representative to vote pro-life on the Heartbeat bill and to vote for putting the national motto, In God We Trust, in every classroom in Kentucky. Tom Reiner and his wife Claudia put the 10 Commandments in every classroom in Kentucky at one time. Steve Brashear took them all out. So that's the kind of things you're up against. When he was Attorney General, he said, oh, no, we don't want the Ten Commandments in the schools.
Right.
It might get rid of stealing and murder and all of that. So
I'm here with Carol today at Christians at the Capitol. Carol, tell me why you're at Christians at the Capitol today.
Well, I am a Christian grandmother, mother, and I was a JCPS teacher for a long time, and I am just hoping to see Christianity brought back into the schools and into our country to help us with so many of the problems that we have right now.
Okay, that was great. That was perfect.
that was perfect. Carol Brutschneider doesn't just talk. She works hard, does a lot for the state of Kentucky. So let me give you that number again, 1-800-372-7181. That's the number to call Frankfort and leave a message for your state representative to vote pro-life on the heartbeat bill and to vote for putting In God We Trust back in Kentucky schools. And also, I want to remind you that we want to give you a free DVD on Jesus. And it's the birth, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and an invitation. And this is free if you give us a call right now. And the number to call for your free material on marijuana, the Jesus video, the number is 895-5025. And call right now. We'll get that out to you. Well, Taylor, it's been great having you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Tune in again next week for the rest of the news.
I'm here today with my good friend Marcus. We just met him today here at Christians at the Capitol. Marcus, why don't you tell us why you're here today?
I want to impact God, Christ.
Well, that's great. We came to Christians at the Capitol today. Everyone is coming, and I think a lot of people here are thinking a lot like you, Marcus. They want to put God back in schools. They want to impact people for Christ in their public schools and in our community. What do you think about that?
I think that we should.
They can take a stand for God. They believe in one nation. You represent that whole idea that young people don't have to be pushed around, that you can believe in God. That's tremendous. This is going on a Christian station.
Legislators, so they may be there. So meeting 125 room will be combined in room 131. Room 169 has had technical problems, and they closed that. So that speaker will be in room 129, combining with what was already there. I hope that after this you will go over and visit and meet the candidates. I got the person who's the auditor for the state of Kentucky over there in the meet the candidates room. I got the person who's going to be running for lieutenant governor and secretary of state, and they're all sitting there, and there's about 3 people there. All right. So when you're done with this room, go talk to them. All right, because I would hate for them not to think that any Christian showed up today. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I see a lot of familiar faces. For those of you who don't, I'm Brother Lee Watts, and I serve as a missionary chaplain here to the state legislature. There's a lot of good products I hope you avail yourself of. The American Family Association, Family Foundation of Kentucky have both of their stuff back there. Please get that. And I have some stuff for you as well. Okay, so let's get to the first bill here. Before we get to bills, I want to talk about taking action. Today you hear about a lot of things, and you'll probably get excited about that, and you'll be excited for it or against it. However, opinion doesn't do anything. We have to do something with what we have heard. You'll see there's a phone number at the top. I hope everybody on the back of your program is a section for notes. Please write this phone number down, all right? And please call this phone number today before you leave. There's an answering group of operators standing by downstairs, and they will take messages for your legislator, your senator, and your representative. And if you don't know who your person is, then you can just tell them, this is my address. They can look up who your person is. Crowd this week, yesterday we had the Planned Parenthood people up here. The day before that, we had the marijuana people up here. Today, I want the legislators and the phone bank to notice there's a very different spirit with this group than there is with the others. You will be courteous, you'll be brief, and you can be firm, all three at the same time. All right? Leave a message, let them know your district, and this is what you're for, and what are you going to do about whatever. This, if you go, you only have to remember 3 letters. If you would like to keep track of the different bills, because I'm going to tell you about a few, I don't have time to tell you about them all. They probably wrote more today, and they'll write more next week that you'll need to keep track of. At the top here, you see it says LRC. That stands for Legislative Research Commission. And all you have to do is type that in, and the very first thing that comes up is the Kentucky Capitol's website. And that is what it looks like. And you will see there on the bottom right, there's a little button called Who's My Legislator? Just click that button. This is very easy to use, and it'll bring up a map. You can either put your address there in the top, or you can click on wherever you're from. And when you do that, you click on the map, it'll show you this is your senator, this is your representative. And you see it's got a little section that says bio page. You click on that, and it'll say, here's your person. This is the committees they're on. This is the bills they've written. This is how to get a hold of them. Everything. Very useful, very simple. So we can definitely be in touch. Because I can tell you, the anti-God crowd, oh, they're in touch. We have some legislators with us today. Representative Walker Thomas, would you stand up, please? Would you introduce yourself and what county you're in?
Yes, I would. I'm Representative Walker Thomas. I represent District 8 down in western Kentucky along the Tennessee border, and that encompasses parts of Christian County and parts of Trigg County. I have a unique situation because I actually represent all the soldiers on Fort Campbell, so I'm involved with military and veterans and transportation and ag are my three main committees.
Thank you for being with us today. Any other legislators in here? Am I missing you? Okay, because I've recognized some of our new guys. So this is how to get a hold of them. It's very easy. It's very simple. And please do that. When you call and leave a message for your senator and your representative, I wouldn't worry about leaving a message for the others. I would also leave a message for this fellow. This is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. His name is David Osborne. Pretty good fellow, all right? He needs to hear from you as well because he's the one who says, let's vote on this or that. And then the people vote. I'll leave a message for your person and for Speaker Osborne. Brief, be courteous, be firm. Do all three at once. Now let's start talking about bills. House Bill number 5. The pro-life issue is once again the biggest issue in the country. For the Christian, that should not be anything new. That should be our biggest issue. This is the Holocaust of our time. Every Friday morning is when we have the legislative Bible study. We talked about that this morning, saying I often will think about the German citizens in World War II when they would listen to the trains going by to Auschwitz and the other places, and they would hear the cries. I heard a story one time of a church that lived next to the railroad track. And when the train would go by during service, people would be screaming and crying on their way to the death camps. The church would just sing louder so that they didn't have to hear that. We have the unheard screams and cries. Church, we have to be active on this. This is a wonderful pro-life bill. This is called the Unborn Child Anti-Discrimination Act. What it basically says is if there is a child that you want to abort because it has a certain disease, you're not allowed to discriminate because you have a disease.
Hi, I'm Dr. Frank Simon. I'm an allergist and family doctor. I specialize in allergy, headaches, sinus, hives, cough, asthma, hypertension, and diabetes. We're located at 1404 Browns Lane near Norton Suburban Hospital. Our phone number is 895-5088.